Well, folks, 2025, it did arrive. I've been, cogitating for a while on what might be a unique and different way to do the astrological dance as we, you know, continue on this New Year adventure that 2025 is going to offer us. I know I'm steeped in the astrological realm, as you probably are aware, but I'm also steeped in the shamanic realm. And a lot of things don't just automatically or easily find themselves contained solely within the astrological story. Speaking of stories, what do you think of the term myth or mythology, if you will? If we read the definition out of the Webster Dictionary for myth, bear with me here. Traditional story of ostensibly historical events that serves to unfold part of the world view of a people or explain a practice, belief, or natural phenomenon. Popular belief or tradition that has grown up around something or someone. One embodying the ideals and institutions of a society or segment of society. Individualism, an unfounded or false notion. Oh yeah, stories, they can do that. A person or thing having only an imaginary or unverifiable existence. The whole body of myths. What would you think if I told you, or had you tune into contemplation about what myths have you grown up with? Where did they come from? Do you have a personal myth? If so, how long has it been since it changed? Ah, le bug flying around me. So we build from our earliest levels of awareness stories that are based on things that others tell us are the way it is. And as we go through life, sometimes those myths, the things that we built around what somebody else has told us, become entrenched, if you were. That's a personal myth. Is it real? Is it not real? Well, in a sense, yeah, it's real. You are, after all, living your life based upon the mythology, your personal mythology of what it was that you were entrained, taught, and determined, that makes sense. I think I'll live with that for a while. What if I told you that it's possible to alter this personal mythology that you have? I'm not saying it's necessarily easy to do, but as we go through life, depending on how entrenched we are in whatever those personal mythological parameters that we have encased ourselves within, is going to, you know, potentially say, boy, somehow I don't feel the same as I did when this particular storyline settled in around my direction about what life should be about. You can change, you know. The fact that, you may have been a wallflower or something like that back along the way in your formative years. This is where we throw in a little bit of the astrology. Because nothing stays the same. The planets continue to move. You have a pattern that sets in motion, This is my me. I happened to be born as a triple Aquarius. And you were born with the sun, moon, and rising signs in their particular placements. And because of that, you have an adventure that was awaiting for you in the experience of discovering what is the myth of me that needs to come out here. And another perspective, we'll go back to our astrology here. When you think about your particular chart, mythology or myth is a ninth house consideration. Up there, just on before you get to the midheaven when you're going around the clock, counterclockwise. That's the ninth house. And what sign is on the cusp of that house? Because that has a lot to do with, the intrigue, shall we say, that the stories around which you build your myth have a foundation. Now, my chart on the ninth house cusp is Scorpio. Scorpio is mystery, investigation. And so the versions of my personal myth always have required a deeper look into what is the potential mystery here that I need to investigate as I discover what? Well, in my case, and right now anyway, for the past quite a number of years, the mystery and the investigation has been around what does soul represent? After all, my ninth house is Scorpio going into Sagittarius. What is the big picture? The big picture is soul. What am I growing into? What mysteries need to be unraveled, looked more profoundly at, and determined, what is and what is not of value in this consideration of me as I go forward that will enhance my understanding of what it means to be a soul, yet at the same time, always not to lose sight of the fact that I am an incarnate human being here on planet Earth. That is the vehicle that my soul chose to actually do this life dance through. So the Aquarian side comes in there strongly, How is it that, as an Aquarius, I can stimulate within myself and others a version of collective curiosity to not become too hung up on any particular methodology of what is possible as we compare notes one with another. There needs to be some of that flexibility so growth can continue. After all, that is what growth is about. Becoming more. And you can kind of see in that the alteration of the storylines, that the mythology that we have tuned into is representing. Am I tuned into the Roman and Greek gods as a mythology? One could go that way. Equally, I could tune into the mythology of the shamans and medicine people of South America or Africa. These are rich, rich traditions in the mythology of where is it that not only we came from, but where we are headed. And every one of them is going to, in some fashion, ask you, if you look into it, are there aspects of my personal myth that are due for alteration? If I really am here to allow my soul growth to expand. Okay, that's enough philosophizing for the moment. Let's take a look at the chart. Monday the 6th. Things are afoot. A new year is beckoning our attention. Are you paying attention? On this Monday, Mars retrograde shifts out of the Leo place where it's been dancing back into Cancer. It's also the first quarter moon is on this Monday. Crisis in action, as Dan Rudger would say. This is a time when, you determine, well, I set my intentions at that Capricorn new moon that we had a week ago. And depending on what it was, it was like getting prepared for New Year's Eve and the beginning of a new year. How profound were you in contemplation of that intention? Did you recognize, like the figure behind me, that there might be some form of initiation underway? New Year's, absolutely. It's a threshold. And any threshold can be seen, utilized, and effectively tuned into as some form of initiation. There's a newness, a new you that perhaps is knocking on your door, that is outside of the constructed walls that you have formed of what your personal myth is, and saying, are you in there? Let me in. There's something that I'm trying to awaken you to. Are you paying attention? And we set that intention at each new moon for that lunar cycle to unfold in the way that it needs to unfold. And we reach this first quarter moon, which Monday represents, the crisis in action is, there are so many different avenues that I sense are available to me. I need to filter that. I actually need to determine what is worthwhile following and accomplishing, and what can I, kind of set aside for the moment, because I only have so much energy. So this first quarter moon that comes on this Monday, a moon day. So the moon is energetically something to be aware of and be tuned into as we begin this next week. And, we're heading toward an interesting bunch of out of bounds dances that are going to happen. And beginning this week, we've got one that it began on the 31st of December, which was Mars going out of bounds, and going to be out of bounds until April 7th. So this Mars, for the next few months, whatever considerations you're contemplating that have to do with your energy drive, Mars, are going to be coming through a filter that says, doing things in the same way that they've been done isn't really, floating my boat. I feel this impulsive drive from underneath that says, change. There's a newness that is driving this impulsive part of me, wanting to, stir the pot just a little bit more vigorously. On this day, Monday, Mercury moves into a square with Neptune down here in Pisces. And we've talked about this a little bit. Those are the two signs ruled by Jupiter, Sagittarius and Pisces, which is over here retrograde still in Gemini. Hopefully, you're maintaining a perspective that has more than a minor quality of curiosity to it. And Neptune in Pisces should be stimulating your imagination, in ways that you have the opportunity of saying, maybe I need to shift this version of the personal myth that I'm living with and, be something different. Mercury. Our mental facilities in Sagittarius says it's, kind of like, yeah, I'm in Sagittarius. Don't hold me back. I have a curiosity for something else. And if you look at the normal astrological chart, starting with Aries on the ascendant, Sagittarius is the sign of that ninth house. Can you feel the potential for a mythological shift that is perhaps in the offing and trying to get your attention? Jupiter, the ruler of both Sagittarius and Pisces over here in Gemini, says, don't think small. Jupiter, no, nothing is ever done in a small fashion. It needs to be grown, expanded upon. So this square, you say, squares are a challenging aspect. I would put it to you that rather than see a square as challenging, it is challenging. The reason for that is to, facilitate an effective challenge to you to, step out of the path that you're on. Take a chance, because, challenging as it might be, if you step up to that plate and swing with everything that you have, the accomplishment of what a square represents is going to awaken a new part of you that couldn't happen any other way but by meeting that challenge. That's right. You will grow from it. Your soul beckons that. Don't stay quagmired away in a mythological storyline that was given to you in your childhood as the only way to go. It's not true. If you look at the way our society is right now, forget it. I don't want to go there. That's a political, social thing. You need to look at your own connection to your soul being and say, is what I am doing as a functional part of life and soul growth absolutely the thing that I'm supposed to be doing? Is the world going to be a better place for what it is that I express? Am I willing to make changes in the version of what it is that I put out there? As I encounter others and share in the feedback loop that is always asking us, what else is there? Anyway, that's our Monday, and our moon day has spoken. Let's see, we have, so far, only Mars is out of bounds. That's that red figure there. And we'll be out of bounds, as I have said, for a season, a long season. Jump ahead to Wednesday, a mercurial day. On this mercurial day, Mercury enters Capricorn. A whole new set of mental parameters has just arrived. And just looking to see if anything else has gone out of bounds. It doesn't really go out of bounds until tomorrow, on the 9th, that is. Anyway, Mercury entering Capricorn. The realm of, rulership, elderhood, wisdom, a trek, if you will, on up a mountainous terrain in order to attain some higher version of awareness. This is essential Capricorn, after all. And Mercury now has arrived in the sign of Capricorn for the next 2 or 3 weeks. Because Mercury's picking up speed since it just came out of its retrograde thing just a little bit ago, right near the end of last year. And so, as our thoughts are stimulated in this Capricorn dance version, can you sense a possibility that as a soul being, there is a climb ahead? There is a mission, some way of enhancing, if you will, the realm of integrity. This is another essential Capricornian term that wants to awaken us to a version of ourselves that we may have been asleep to Perhaps those, constructed walls of our personal mythology have contained us within a certain working format that we have outgrown. Welcome to a new year, a new opportunity to be initiated, if you're willing, into a new story. Here it is, the 9th. Mercury, just for a little extra entertainment, goes out of bounds on this Thursday. When a planet goes out of bounds, it really isn't paying a lot of attention to, what the druthers of rules and regulations say need to be done appropriately. Out of bounds says, why? What's the value of maintaining an even keel and, wasting away, if you will, within a set of parameters that do not change? When a planet goes out of bounds, its change is very much at the heart of what that energy is being drawn toward. Mercury, our capacity to reason, think, learn, exchange thoughts with others, is being stimulated in this out of bounds moment this week on Thursday to, take a chance. Think out of the box. There are factors in play right now that, are there actually designed specifically to initiate us into a new version of what it is that we came as soul beings to be. Quite specifically in this earth soul walk. Also, on this same day, a little bit later in the day, you won't see it till I click to the next day, the moon in its northern reaches is getting further and further up in the sky. Also, because that's a new moon, it's getting bigger and bigger. But it's on a northerly journey, and it too, as Thursday becomes Friday, goes out of bounds. So we have 3 planets out of bounds. Mars, that driving, impulsive, energetic side within us. Mercury, how is it that I want to organize my thought processes? And the moon, what stimulates my essential level of sensation? These 3 parts of us doing an out of bounds dance as this week unfolds gives us the opportunity, if we but take it, to think out of the box. There's Mercury. Feel the moon. Feel our capacity. It's in Gemini, by the way, of interaction with perhaps others that we haven't interacted with, just to discover, a perspective that we didn't have before we actually engaged with them. Right there with Jupiter, conjunct down here in Gemini, out of bounds on our Friday. where is curiosity going to lead us for this weekend? You know, are you willing to take a chance? After all, the moon and Mercury and, you know, and Mars. Yeah, there is an out of bounds energy that's at work that says, don't become stuck in the mud. You got things to do. There's a, almost you can kind of feel like, picture if you will, the cauldron sitting over the fire being stirred. You kind of picture the potential for a gentle stirring to make sure nothing burns or sticks to the end thing. With this kind of out of bounds energy, perhaps a larger paddle is being used to stir that cauldron of potential, and perhaps just a little bit more vigorously as things surface and bubble to the top of that cauldron, saying, pay attention to me, pay attention to me. I've given you something new to think about. Engage with others in this curiosity experience. There's something that wants to, awaken new within you. It's, poking, if you will, at that mythological personal version that you thought was the only option you had, and saying, no, 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 not. There are things afoot beckoning your attention to revise that mythological story that you've been living with, excuse me, and has been holding you back from accomplishing what it is that you as a soul being came to do while here. And you can kind of see that as the week concludes, Saturday, Mars, or out of bound Mars over here in Cancer, moves into a trine with Neptune. Can you sense creative imagination percolating up from the Cancer zone? Am I in tune with my ancestral linkage? That is, after all, the realm of Cancer. Home, yes, but home on a much more substantial level that is inclusive of generations of energetic beings that you are a part of. And so this ancestral chorus, if you will, is singing. I don't know if you can hear it or not. You may have to slip into, excuse me, a deeper mode of meditation to contemplate this, because it's Neptune, the creative level of imagination in Pisces, the deepest and most profound spiritual field of oceanic awareness, wherein stuff is percolating. We go back to that cauldron, like a miniature ocean of stimulation taking place. This is, after all, Mars doing that nice trine stimulation with Neptune across this water element. Sensation is closer to the surface as the water elements are brought into the equation to consider, am I willing to allow growth to expand beyond the parameters within which I have been holding it. That's all the astrology I'm going to throw at you for this first full week of 2025. I hope, I trust that there are factors of your personal myth that you are ready to reinitiate. Dump, throw out, curtail, cut those aspects that have outlived their usefulness. After all, initiation is a time when those things that no longer serve you are being given the opportunity of being removed from your makeup so that there is room for newness to put in an appearance and wake us up to what it is that we've been asleep to. And our soul is beckoning. Please, 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 take a chance. Think out of the box. After all, we do have some out of bounds energy afoot. You got no time to exist within this thinking box. There's a lot of life percolating around us, asking us, do you want to play? Are there aspects of you that have been, held back and are ready to alter the path that you're on? Welcome to 2025. Yeah, my schedules have been absolutely insane for most of December, and I'm going into a period where hopefully it's not going to quite be that. I never know for sure because the beckonings of so many people on my wavelength are saying, Jeff, we need assistance over here. We need assistance over here. And I've always enjoyed being of service to people. So I'm going to let you go so that you can contemplate, perhaps meditate even, upon what it is that we consider today and allow this to, open up possibilities for 2025 that neither you nor I really know what is in store for us. Ciao.